Is it possible to be a lazy person and still lose the weight? I believe the answer is yes. So in this video, I'm going to show you the laziest way to lose weight so you can drop 3 or 4 notches off your belt without having to spend hours running on a treadmill or going to the gym 6 times a week. And you're going to like this because it doesn't require you to flip your entire diet, only to change a few hidden foods that might be sabotaging your progress. Now to start, you need to understand a key principle in losing weight. To lose weight the laziest way possible, you first need to understand that everyone who's currently alive right now is using a set amount of energy to function. Things like breathing, things like organs working, brushing our teeth, day-to-day moving, that all requires energy to do. That energy is measured in calories. And when you overeat calories, you've got excess energy that then is converted to fat. And if you undereat your calories, then you have to spend that fat to fuel your energy. So with that being said, what's most important when it comes to losing weight is being in that calorie deficit while sticking to an exercise routine that's sustainable. When I tell my clients to focus solely on this, they lose more weight without burning out, without having to change what they're eating, and even sometimes learning to enjoy the process. So now I'm going to take you what I take my clients through to lose the weight the laziest way possible, and it's only 5 steps. It's so easy. So step 1 is figure out your maintenance calories. How much energy is your body consuming throughout the day? Now you can use this formula on screen to figure that out. Ask ChatGPT or even just look up macro calculator online, and most of the options are pretty reliable. Just enter your age, height, weight, and activity level, and that's going to give you that starting number to work from. So step 2 is going to prevent you from eating all of the healthiest foods you know but still not losing the weight. Because there are certain food groups that, although are considered healthy, are actually piling the pounds on without you even noticing. A great example of this was a few weeks ago. I sat down with a client who was trying to get rid of the pudge around his lower abs, and we went through a full typical day of eating for him. Everything he was eating looked good. High protein meals, eating at consistent times, no junk food, but I asked him one simple question. Does he eat nuts? Like peanuts, almonds? And he told me he grabs a handful of peanuts as he goes about his day. Guess how many calories is in 100 grams of peanuts? 576. Guess how many calories is in a typical cheeseburger? 300. Some foods that you're probably eating are disguised as healthy, but are actually keeping you fat. Guess how many calories is in a full avocado? 360. Now I know what you're thinking. If fruit is now sabotaging my weight loss, then what can I trust? The reason these foods trip people up is because they're packed with fat. Not fat around our belly, but dietary fat. One of the 3 macronutrients that fuel our body. And here's the kicker. Fat has 9 calories per gram, compared to protein and carbs, which only have 4. Essentially meaning even a tiny amount of fat-rich foods can load up the calories fast. And it's just super hard to tell which foods have high fat and which don't. The good news is you can cut even just 1 or 2 of these foods out of your diet, and you can cut your calories by hundreds. The client I talked about earlier, all we did was take the peanuts out of his diet, and he lost 4 kgs in just 4 weeks. You've probably heard the stories of people going from regular Coke to Diet Coke and losing massive amounts of weight in record times. It's that cutting of calories that's so important. You dropping the notches on your belt might simply be a case of changing 1 or 2 foods that you're currently eating. So the action step I want you to take is just simply log your foods for a week or 2. It doesn't have to be forever, it just needs to be long enough so you can figure out where all those sneaky high-fat foods are. The easiest way to log food is using a fitness app like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal, but you can even just take photos of the food labels that you're eating, send them to ChatGPT, tell it how much you've eaten, and it will give you the exact numbers you need. Now, the pain in the ass thing about weight loss is it can be so hard to tell if what you're doing is actually working. Like this roll of toilet paper. I can take a square off it, it's going to look exactly the same. I can take 2, and again, you won't notice the difference. It's only until I start taking squares and squares and squares off it where you finally start to see some sort of change in shape. You're not going to see weight loss progress in the first few days, hell, even the first couple weeks, and especially if you're not actively tracking it. So step 3 is going to be daily weigh-ins. It's essential to know if the changes you're making are actually working. And the only way to do that is to have the data laid out in front of you. So if you've got bathroom scales, great. All you want to do is weigh yourself first thing in the morning after the toilet, but before any food or water, and then note it down. Here's one of my old daily weigh-in sheets. Simply blue tack to the wall above the scales and just write the number down every single day. It's as easy as that. So here's what I recommend. Pick a realistic number that you want to get to. Maybe it's the closest round number. So if you're 104 kgs, make it 100. Write that number at the top of your sheet and follow the system until the morning you weigh in at your goal. Then set a new goal. Now usually this is all that's required to lose the weight, but 99 times out of 100 this still isn't enough. But not to fear, there is a few lazy ways of adding a slight bit of movement into your day without having to put your running shoes on or spend hours driving in traffic to the gym. Step 4 is what I call lazy cardio. You can get your cardio in without doing cardio. It's the true laziest way to get in shape. This lazy cardio came to me after hearing a statistic that blew my mind. Apparently, America has a 40% obesity rate compared to Japan, which is only 4%. Now, there are obviously so many differences between the cultures, but one of the biggest and most consistent differences between the two was how many steps people walked a day. The average American was clocking between 3,000 and 4,000 steps a day compared to the average Japanese who was clocking 7,000 to 10,000. Now, that extra 5,000 steps can burn anywhere between 200 and 250 calories. And a pound of fat is exactly 3,500 calories. So 5,000 extra daily steps is burning half a pound a week, which comes out to about an extra 2 pounds a month or an extra 24 pounds burned a year. But obviously we know that moving more helps burn more fat. What we want is the lazy way of moving, the easy way. And I've done the math. An extra 10 minutes of walking accounts to about 1,000 steps. And if we want to burn that extra 24 pounds of fat over the year, then we need to try and hit at least 5,000 steps a day, or 50 minutes of walking. So here's what I found to be the easiest way to do it. 3 10-minute bouts of walking in the morning, lunchtime, and evening, plus walking when you take calls, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, and parking further away from the supermarket, so you've got to walk a little bit more. And that's honestly it. Simply adding this into your day is going to ensure that any little dieting mistakes you might be making is going to be accounted for. It's cardio without the sweating, without having to get changed for it, and without needing to shower afterwards. You can do it in your work clothes, you can do it in socks and sandals, and you can do it any part of the day. Now the final step is the secret sauce, and it's what's going to keep you consistently doing the actions you need to drop those belt buckles. And it goes like this. I want you to think of the route you drive to get to work or school or wherever you drive often. You probably know the exact drive you take. Hell, you probably do it multiple times a day. And it's probably the exact same route every single day. It's human nature to find the path of least resistance and just drill that. We don't need new tricks every week. We need a simple, repeatable routine we can run on autopilot. So what does that look like? It's walking the same 10-minute track every morning. It's eating the same or similar meals every day. It's even parking in the same car park when you go to the supermarket. Find an easy, repeatable method you can follow to lose the weight and just do that for a month or two. Lose the weight, then chill out for a while. And then when you feel like losing more weight, just run the same routine. But if you're unsure what meals exactly to eat or what actions specifically you want to take, I run through my exact system that I use to lose 6.2 kgs in just a month. So I share it in this video here. Check it out if you like. Thanks for watching. See you later, gents.